everyone. Thank you for joining me. Thank you to those who are joining in consciousness in the silence. And thank you to those of you who are listening to the recording. It's a real blessing to be here with you. The purpose of these live streams is to contemplate the spiritual wisdom shared in the Infinite Way teachings of Joel Goldsmith. And to those of you who aren't familiar with Joel Goldsmith, he was a 20th century American mystic who was born in New York in 1892, and he passed away in London in 1964. Joel authored over 80 books during his lifetime, and he spent the latter part of his life traveling the world, offering spiritual healing and sharing the spiritual wisdom that he'd come to learn in his classes and talks. So today I'll be reading an extract from a book written by Vic Smith, and the book's called The Young Man and the Old Man. And Vic was heavily inspired by Joel Goldsmith's teachings when he wrote this book. And in the extract that I'm sharing today, I will examine the spiritual principle that Vic shares in his narrative and how that runs in parallel with Joel Goldsmith's teachings. I recorded the audiobook for The Young Man and the Old Man. Hi Gloria, and thank you for joining us. Yes, I recorded the audiobook for The Young Man and the Old Man, and the details of the audiobook and the ebook are in the description. Vic very generously distributes free copies of the ebook at 4 times a year at Easter, Christmas, Thanksgiving, and around the summer solstice. And that ties in beautifully with when I'm going to be reading a second extract from Vic's book, which is on the 22nd of June. That's a Saturday. Okay, well, before we begin, shall we start with a short meditation? I only meditate very briefly in these live streams, but if you'd like us to meditate together, you're very welcome to reach out to me. I also host a daily healing meditation group on WhatsApp, and the details of the WhatsApp group are in the description. If you have any questions or comments about Joel Goldsmith's teachings or the spiritual path in general, you're very welcome to contact me. My name is Heather, and my email address is mysticalmeditation@yahoo.com. Okay, well, let's be still then. At the end of this first meditation, I'll say thank you, and then I'll start the reading. So let's be still. Thank you. Okay, so for our reading, I'm going to be reading an extract from chapter 8 in The Young Man and the Old Man, starting on page 56. And please do stop me at any point if you have any questions or comments about what I'm reading. So to give you some context without spoiling the story, our main character, the young man, is frustrated by the status quo, and he encounters an old man who very gently and patiently shares pearls of wisdom with him as he follows him throughout his day. So let me read the reading. Ah, we are back to my home, young man. I timed my tale perfectly. How it gets dark early now. My eyes have gotten dim with my old age. Here is a candle and a stick match. Could you go inside and find the light in my house, young man? Young man lit the candle and entered the shack looking for a lamp. After a few minutes, he called to the young man, "The old man, I can't seem to find it." Seek diligently, and you shall find it, young man. The old man entered the shack. There it is in your hand, young man. The old man chuckled. The young man looked sheepishly at the candle in his hand. Forgive me, young man. I do not intend to embarrass you. Do you see how the things we search for are generally as near to us as our own hand? Let me tell you an old proverb that you've probably heard before. I was about my chores one day when I noticed a beautiful butterfly nearby. I wanted to get closer to admire the beautiful creation of one. However, as I tried to get closer to the butterfly, it just started flying farther and farther away. I chased it for quite a distance, determined to get a close look at it. Soon the butterfly was out of sight, so I gave up chasing after it and sat down to rest and catch my breath. Sure enough, the butterfly that I was chasing landed right in front of me, fanning its beautiful wings for me to admire. You see, young man, we search diligently at first, and at times it seems that our butterfly is just getting farther and farther away. And when it seems like we will never reach our goal and we will give up on it, it will, very often, fall right in our lap. One really does exist then, old man. Which temple did you find one in? Which temple observed the true one? Certainly it is not ours, since they banished you. I would also like to find one, to know the answer. Where do I find one? Young man said. To which land should I travel? You really wish to find one, young man? Yes. For what reason, young man? Young man reflected on this question. Just to know one and to know the answer. Just to see if one really does exist and how. Ah, wonderful. For you see, young man, the only way one can reveal oneself to you is if you seek one for the right reason. You must seek one only for one. So here in essence, the old man is teaching the young man that he must go to God, his inner self, only for God. That's what brings fulfillment. Harmony or healing in the outer world is a natural consequence of this and is the added things that Luke refers to in the Bible. And Joel talks at length again and again in his books about the true meaning of prayer in the infinite way. Prayer for Joel was the activity of consciously communing with our inner self, our consciousness, not indulging in vain repetitions or pleading to an entity separate and apart from ourselves, but instead resting in the mind, the peace that dwells within us, and then letting that radiate out and express itself as our experience. Okay, so I'm going to read you an extract from this book, The Only Freedom. It's a compilation of Joel's teachings, and it elaborates further on this point of only going to God for God. It's just a short paragraph on page 163. All Infinite Way students should have not less than one period of meditation a day when they go to God for no reason whatsoever. They go just for the sake of letting God fill them, letting the peace of communion between our outer self and our inner self go on, whether it is with or without words, and certainly without a request or a desire of any kind. In this period, the student is being receptive to what God wants, which may be entirely foreign to anything the student can possibly think of, ask for, plan, or desire. Hello to those who have just joined us. I'm going to be reading now an extract from The Heart of Mysticism, which we've been working with in this series. And since we have time, I'll read you an extract from Volume 1, the chapter entitled Prayer. And this is on page 14 and 15. Please do send in any comments if there's anything you'd like to share about what I'm reading, or if you have any questions. Okay, so as you live with these great passages, you will begin to catch the idea, and ultimately you will come to the conclusion that there is no use in praying to God for anything, because that kind of prayer puts God in the same classification as Santa Claus. So often we try to be good, and we acquaint God with our needs and desires, and then we wait in our goodness until God feels like bestowing our requests. After many years of study and practice of spiritual truth, we have outgrown the idea of God as Santa Claus, and the idea of the prayer of petition and beseeching, and later affirming, so as to receive our good from God. Now it is revealed to us that in order to know the nature of prayer, we must know the nature of God. The nature of God is fulfillment. It is the function of God to fulfill and to express itself. However, there is that which will prevent us from coming into the experience of that fulfillment. Just as there may be brilliant sunshine, there are also shades, and we may use those shades to keep out the sun. As long as we entertain a sense of separation from God, this serves as the shade which keeps us away from the benefits, the joys, the affluences of God. Our sense of separation from God is the barrier to our enjoyment of the blessings of God. So God, consciousness, our consciousness, is our fulfillment. It's always here, eternally present. We're just looking for it in the wrong place, in external forms rather than within our own being. Is there anything anyone would like to share or add at this point? No? You're all being very quiet today. Okay, well, if that's the case, I'll leave you to contemplate on the wisdom that's been shared. Thank you, Gloria. You're welcome. I hope you've enjoyed our time together today. It's certainly been a privilege being here with you. Before we close, I'd just like to mention that next week I'll be responding to a question that's been kindly sent to me about what protection means in the infinite way. So I hope you'll join me then. So as we enter into the stillness now for our final meditation, and afterwards as we leave this live stream, I invite you to consider. Hi Harpinder, thank you for joining. I invite you to consider, bless you. Thank you so much for being with us in consciousness. Let's consider now, where am I? Where is the I that I am? And then rest in that. At the end of the meditation, I'll say thank you. And then we'll leave in silence. Okay, let's be still. Thank you. Thank you so much to all of you.